So, are you ready? Hot Mics with Billy Bush starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, a giant star took the spotlight in D.C. today, and his name is Barron. Whoa! What are they feeding that kid? Make him Secretary of Defense now. He's giant. And his dad came out firing from here to the Gulf of America. My Lord. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by our friends at LA Golf, is now. Welcome to Hot Mics with Billy Bush. He did it. He's back. He's bigger, more popular than ever. Donald Trump, 45, became 47. It was, about noon today, and I'm telling you, he came out. First, we got to talk about Barron Trump for a second here. I'm obsessed with this guy. Standing between his parents, he looks like a giant. He looked like security to me. And he's got the power slicked back do. Look at this guy. I got a picture of him up right now. He's got the Gordon Gekko hair going back. He's towering over the entire room. Women love this guy. He trades crypto in his room. There's something about him. We got to keep our eyes on Barron Trump. And then you got Melania. This is all just the little things you pick up. Melania, did she look fantastic? But she has strategically placed hat over her eyes today. You could not see her eyes. I think she knows, like Michelle Obama was always caught looking either pissed off or, disinterested. She's like, you're not going to see my eyes at all. Gorgeous looking. Usha Vance, very stylish. These men married two beautiful immigrant women. A couple things I learned. Kamala's middle name is Davy. I didn't know that. J.D. Vance has changed his name 3 times. He was born James Donald Bowman. Then he became James David Hamill. And then J.D. Vance. I don't know. There's issues there. Something. Mark Zuckerberg got caught looking down Lauren Sanchez's blouse. That's a great meme. If you haven't seen it, get on there. It's unbelievable. He gave up fact-checking and began rack-checking. I'll tell you what was... Carrie Underwood. Oh, my God, what a save. For some reason, we can put a man on the moon, but in 2024, we can't get the audio equipment to work. They, for a second, had the background vocals to America the Beautiful, and then they're all sitting there as the tape doesn't work, and it's like people are looking at each other. It's getting very awkward. Carrie steps up. She wants the backing thing. She goes a cappella, which was, look at that. You can hear her. You can see her. My God, Bill Clinton right behind her. Very dangerous. There's Joe Biden. Oh, my God. Look at the smile on the Donald's face. He's so happy. This was a massive moment. She saved, it was getting awkward. It was like 60 seconds before she just started riffing it. I'll tell you what. What really moved me, and I'm an emotional guy. I cry, at the drop of a hat. But the Navy singers, when they came in, can we take a little listen to that? I'm sorry, that touched me, and the tears started coming out. I like a little pomp and circumstance. They're so young. It just means I've gotten so old, but... I love the pomp and circumstance. That's why Senator Fetterman, as much as I love his moderate stances, and he's a cool guy, John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, but the sweatshirt and the shorts in the rotunda at the inauguration... Of course, I'm still used to cancel culture. Like, I know we're over it, but I had to say to him, I was like, does he have a medical condition that requires shorts and a sweatshirt? Please tell me that before I say, sir, put on a coat and tie for the inauguration in the rotunda. Style points. Those are the little things you pick up. But substance-wise, Trump came out firing right off the bat. Wrote a couple things down, but he's like... right off the bat, the scales of justice will be rebalanced. Then he gets into the first thing I'm going to do is a national emergency at the southern border. Remain in Mexico policy. Drill, baby, drill. We want liquid gold in. Green New Deal out. tariffs and taxes. He introduces something called the External Revenue Service. That's for us to collect foreign money from other countries, he says. And, of course, you've got the Department of Government Efficiency with, I think it's now only Elon. We sent Vivek Ramaswamy packing. He's gone. He's already out of the picture. And then he got into no more gender ambiguity. It's male or female, masculine, feminine. You have a choice. Anyway, so look, he was the Don. He was firing on all cylinders. He forgot to put his hand on the Bible. By the way, 2 Bibles, like Lincoln's old Bible and the one his mom gave him in 1955. But I've been told by constitutionalists it's okay. He's legitimately president. He didn't need to do that. I have history with the Donald. Insert laugh here. But I've known him a long time. And I confess, I always liked him. Back in 2004, 2005, I was with him 3 days a week at least as the host of Access Hollywood, and he the biggest star on the network for The Apprentice. That's when The Apprentice hit. I was sucking up sound bites from him like an anteater. I mean, he was a gold mine. He was unafraid to say what he knew would cause me to pick up my cell phone, call my executive producer at Access Hollywood and say, holy shit, you are not going to believe what he said to me this time. I was the first person he told, Rosie's fat, she's unattractive, she's dumb, she's a slob. And I'm like, okay, that's rude. But every other celebrity is just, followed around by a publicist who threatens you after their client says something and says, if you use this, we'll never speak to you again. So at least that was refreshing, right? He always just said, he would say, Tom Cruise, very weird. A little weird. Don't you think he's a little weird, Billy? Billy, what do you think? All the time. The Michael Jackson story with Donald Trump. I'll never forget the Michael Jackson story. I go in there, it's 2005. Michael Jackson is on trial for molestation. And I'm like, Trump's going to say something. He always says something. We're going to have a real soundbite. And we found out Michael Jackson had an apartment in Trump Tower. So there's a connection. We're talking to the landlord about one of his tenants. This is going to be great. So I'm chit-chatting with Donald as we do off camera before the interview, where Donald sets the agenda, and he brings it up. He's like, oh, my God, Michael, this guy's crazy. What a freak. I can't believe this is going. Can you believe this guy? And I said, okay, here we go. This is going to be good. So I go into his office, and I'm ready. The cameras are now on. And, of course, the real reason, the official reason we're there is because, somebody got voted off that week in The Apprentice, and we have to ask what happened. And we get that out of the way. And I know my big moment's coming. I turn to him and I say, Donald, can you believe what's going on here in the Michael Jackson trial? He's a tenant of yours in one of your buildings. Tell me, what kind of guy is he? He goes, Billy, Michael is a terrific guy. He's a very good tenant. He always pays on time, helps the little old ladies in the lobby with the grocery bags. He's just the best. I'm going, what happened to the conversation we were having before this? Wait a minute. You're supposed to give me my moment here. And I'm like, all right, maybe he's just doing this. Let me get back in there. Well, have you ever noticed anything that might be a little off, Donald, with Michael? Maybe something that would say, he's not all what we think. He goes, no, he's terrific. He's amazing. And finally, he does the whole thing again. I said, I'm running out of options. Finally, I said, would you let him babysit your kids? He goes, what, are you crazy? I said, well, I guess we have a small moment. Unbelievable. But look, I got a long history with him. Not just the years at Access Hollywood when I'm, the main entertainment guy and he's the biggest star we got, but 8 pageants and all the plane rides. He flew me from from New York to LA to host this panel on The Apprentice. But people assume that because of that fateful bus ride in 2005 that was weaponized later by NBC News in the 2016 election, that somehow I don't like him. People always say, oh, my God, you must hate. Just because he did all the talking and got the ultimate promotion and I got fired, that I'm supposed to hate him? Are you kidding me? I admire him for that. He's Teflon Don, impervious to the terrible little things that media sort of elite turds do to try and cancel him. I got hit with shrapnel and died instantly. That guy got hit between the eyes and became president. Right? They leaked that tape, and then 2 days later, It's the debate. Second debate with Hillary Clinton. And that tape is out there. And they've got him. They're celebrating in the hallways. Down goes the Donald. We've got him. They're so excited. Anderson Cooper opens the debate. He leads with that question. You, sir, are a sexual assaulter. Trump has brought all of Bill Clinton's accusers into the auditorium. You remember that? All of them were there. And he turns to Hillary Clinton and completely takes her out at the knees with, Bill Clinton said worse to me on a golf course. I will never forget that. That line, and Hillary was like, like ready to pounce, and she was totally negated, neutralized. The media from the start were so unnerved by Trump, so threatened by him. NBC the most, though. And here's the funny thing. The irony is they built him. If he's Frankenstein, Jeff Zucker, who later anchored the resistance at CNN, was at the time the NBC entertainment boss. He was Dr. Frankenstein. He created that image of this ultimate, deal maker. Look, Trump is not a perfect man. I've got a lot of problems with him, and we'll get into those. But I admire him because he's resilient. The magnetism is off the charts, right? I mean, he can do anything. He hijacked evangelicals. He never went to church. Now he's selling upside-down Trump Bibles. He hijacked the basic tenets of the Democratic Party, and they just called it the Republican Party. Working class, minorities, all the people that the Democrats took for granted, he just took them and said, "You're now this is now the Republican platform. No foreign wars, right? Republicans famously hawkish, not Trump. He doesn't want any of that. A lot of energy." And the most effective thing he does, and you got to hand it to him, and I don't recommend it for you or your kids or anyone else, he spends no time with guilt and shame. I have a lot of shame. Shame is good. You should have a little shame. When you're doing something wrong, you should feel it. Your conscience should bother you, and then you should not do it. He doesn't have that, but there are very few reality people that do. The best thing he did for all of us, though, and this became the drumbeat of Bill Maher, what a great ally for Donald, is he stopped the mob dead in their tracks. He showed all of us it was okay to actually say what we feel. I'm doing it now. Jesus died on the cross for our sins. Trump withstood a relentless bombardment from the media, the courts, the woke bullies on Twitter, so we could all stop being afraid to speak our minds. All right, that's big. AOC, the Squad, MSNBC, they're mad about it. Biden really blew it. I mean, progressive liberals hijacked the Democratic Party, and Joe not only let them, he joined right in with it, blind to the idea that this would ever receive any kind of vociferous, loud pushback from people. They launched a culture war kind of reminiscent of the mid-'60s China, Mao Zedong. They force-fed us ideas and rules we didn't want and scared us into agreeing or at least staying quiet about it. So, silent liar. But gender ideology, right? 0.5% trans in this country and a louder voice than either male or female. Identity politics, Latinx, what the hell is that? Latino people don't care. Race, gender-based equity, open borders, critical race theory, anti-gun of any kind, not even in your home to protect. Then defund the police was the craziest thing of them all. The imbalance of crime and punishment, like you got a life sentence for getting someone's pronouns wrong. It got crazy. Someone had to put a stop to it, and no one would. The elites moved hard and heavy, further and further left, thinking that everybody who voted Democrat in their life would come along. But these heavily progressive issues and conversations, guess what? They were only being had in coastal cities, in Los Angeles and in New York. In the middle of the country, these old blue dog Democrat type working class folks, they're not, not to mention blacks, Hispanics, they were not down for it. They felt alienated. Trump knew it, and he earned their defection. Okay, I told you I don't, this sounds like I'm his biggest fan in the world. I'm just giving him props where they're due. I'm not a sycophant. There's plenty I don't like. The Office is not greater than him. It shouldn't be greater than him. I think he sees, I am the office. Every president we've had before, there was a reverence you could see for the office. I don't know if you know this, but I'm the nephew of George H.W. Bush. He was probably the best resume you'll see on a president in your lifetime. But he was a real man of integrity, and he respected that office, first and foremost. Reverence for the truth, right? The ease with which the Donald tells a lie is, to him, it's all narrative. I'll never forget when I was armed with my research, and I went into Donald's office. It was after The Apprentice one week, and I said, Donald, Billy were number one last week. We were number one. It was amazing. I said, Donald, hold on. You were not number one. You're not even in the top 25 now. Not in no categories. You're not number one, and I've got it here. And he says, well, wait a minute. Did you see last Thursday in the final quarter hour? I said, wait, what? No. And he said, well, you should probably take a look at that. Now, anyway, and he moves right on and blows me off. And after the interview, he says to me, never mind with the stats that you have about who's number one and whatever. You just tell people and they believe you. I'll never forget that. And ever since that point, I would always walk around saying I'm the host of the number one entertainment show afterwards. I will say I did adopt it. But the name calling and the pettiness, the impulse, I'd like to see him wait 10 seconds before a tweet at least. I hate that. I hope we, don't get petty. What's truly amazing, though, is what has happened with Trump 2.0, the opposite of Bennifer 2.0. All the old enemies in the media elites are now kissing the full circumference of Donald's ass like they were with him the whole time. It is... The about face is like laughable. It's so obvious. Brian Williams the other day calls out the media for perpetuating the lie of Joe Biden's great health and mental acuity behind closed doors. That is not brave in January of 2025. It's brave in April of 2024 or May. Don Lemon tried to do his X show and said, I'm independent. I never was, far left. Please. The tech guys is the most obvious that there is. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg in 2018 was like apologizing for not doing more with Russiagate and fending off misinformation and all that. And now here he is like, woo, thanks for letting me get rid of my DEI program and let's throw a party in D.C. and I'm your guy. And he's having the time of his life. Major corporations who cave to every demand of their, employee base. The culture wars, used to be a Republican Achilles heel, right? You had Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson and people. And, Trump saw this and he hijacked the Democrat Party and renamed it Republican Party. That's what the Democrats were working class, everyman party, like we said. The Republicans were out of touch, right? It's completely inverted today. He turned it around. So Trump won with a thin majority of votes, but a massive wave of vibes. I mean, you can feel it all over that town. I've been getting texts and pictures from people with what you see online. I mean, it is going off in D.C. Like it's like he called it the great moment of liberation. But presidents have always appeared humble, reverent, deferential. Not Trump, and he's never going to be. Right? He's bombastic, he's heavy-handed, he's ballsy, he's funny, and he has zero shame. Zero shame. Shame is what has kept me from this day. I mean, that swallowed me whole. I will never forget 8 years ago when Trump first walked into the Oval Office. I walked into a mental health facility called the Hoffman Institute. I was falling apart. I'd been, fired 3 months before, and it was just like the end. I didn't know what to do. I thought I was going to take my own life. I was just a mess. And I went into this place, and here we are 8 years later. And oddly enough, the hot mic that took my voice away 8 years ago, the hot mics right now are actually delivering a chance to tell you what I think and feel. So, look, he's in office. He's going at it again. What are your hopes and prayers for the country and where we're going? I'll tell you mine. Deal with China, please. TikTok was banned for a reason. It's an espionage spy app. Fix it. Buy it. Just beat them. However you do it. Stability in the world. I'd like to see that. some acknowledgement, of global warming? If tariffs don't work, how about real cuts to address the national debt? You know, winning was getting even, sir. You don't need to sick, Kash Patel on all your enemies, the new FBI guy when he gets confirmed. You don't need to do that. And while you're at it, bury that bigger creep, Matt Gaetz, once and for all. Stop feminizing boys. Look, males just pushed back so hard. I think we started like this toxic masculinity thing. Next thing you know, Hulk Hogan and Dana White are speaking at the convention. We went way the other way. Somewhere in the middle, we should embrace masculinity. But, I call it tender warriors. Let's build tender warriors, okay? I think most women want that. All women want that. But most of all, we know what Donald is against, right? The whole first term was about what he was against. Trump 45 was great at telling you what was wrong, who was bad. This time, I'd like to see some emphasis on what he's for. Lay out the good, lay out the vision, just lead. All right? But Trump stopped this country from falling further into the illiberal woke sinkhole. And now we just got to make sure we don't, boomerang too far in another equally scary direction. May the new normal just be normal. Oh, God, wouldn't that be nice? All right, he did it on Saturday night. Let's do it here. Or was it Sunday night? The Village People. Did you see him up there? 4 years ago, NFL was taking a knee, as they say, and now they're all doing the Trump dance. It's a terrible dance. Ayatollah Carolla, Adam Carolla is in the house. Let me see. It only requires hands, Adam. All you have to do is, it's just hands. Although he's doing this now. He's doing, this is when he's really busting a move. He's doing this is funny. Slide me. Come on in here.
All right.
Adam Carolla's in studio. Are we going to roll right into it? You want to go right into it? Do you want a little break? You don't want a break. Oh, well, here's what we got. We're going to take a little break from our friends on the radio side of things.
Sure.
And then we're going to talk about it. Can we talk about your...
Whatever, anything,
This
all
man
the
is
time.
still out of his house. He's wearing the
true.
same clothes he wore 2 weeks ago because of our horrific fires.
I did that anyway before the fires, but yeah, I am out of my house.
Your hygiene is held on, though. You smell terrific.
you.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back with the host of the Adam Carolla Show, Adam Carolla. This is Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf, and we'll be back in 60 seconds on TuneIn. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, brought to you by LA Golf. Upgrade your game. Take your golf experience to the next level at lagolf.com. And for all the sports fans out there, don't miss a beat with TuneIn Premium. Unlock access to the biggest college football and basketball games, every NHL game with no blackouts, and commercial-free ESPN radio to keep you up to date on all the breaking news around the sports world. Plus, enjoy over 300 commercial-free music stations to suit every mood or activity, whether you're into today's hits, classic rock, smooth jazz, country roads, or anything in between. There's even over 100 mood stations to help you unwind and chill out. Stay informed with commercial-free CNN, Fox News Radio, MSNBC, and more with fewer ads and no interruptions. Tune in to 100,000 global radio stations and podcasts and get breaking news and sports talk anytime, anywhere. Go to tunein.com/premium and sign up today to unlock it all. Welcome back to Hot Mics with Billy Bush, brought to you by LA Golf. I feel like a broadcasting duo here. The host of the Adam Carolla Show, Adam Carolla, is in the house. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
House is okay. Didn't burn down.
It did not burn down. Everything in front of it burned down, and half the stuff on the hill I live on burned down. So it was probably...
So you're lucky.
Oh, yeah. No, easily 75 to 80% of the dwellings and structures around where I live in Malibu are all gone. And I can't... So I've been out for 2 weeks or a week and a half or whatever it is, but I can't... Geez, I guess we're coming up on 2 weeks. I can't get back, so I'm just sort of out.
They just won't let you... Do you want to go up to grab a few things, or...
Well, I actually worked a deal that I wasn't supposed to talk about with somebody on the inside who gave me a little escort to go back and get a garbage bag full of underwear and T-shirts and stuff
That's
and come back
necessary.
out again. But that's about it. And to see what was dripping out of the bottom of the refrigerator.
Oh, that's
There's
disgusting.
a big long line that's coming off the bottom
So did you
of my
did you clean out the fridge?
I didn't get
good.
no. I was like, I've been traumatized enough. I'm not opening that fridge.
Listen, you've been outspoken though about the mismanagement that's going on here, and I never knew this, but you told that great story of you were a firefighter in Los Angeles, but they sent you packing, like you tried to be, and they sent you away for 7 years.
Yeah. And by the way, it could have been 5.5 years. It could have been
Who cares
6
at that
years.
point?
It was many years. Well, first off, the years between the ages of 18 and like 24, those are big years. You know, as you get older, it's like it flies by, and there's no what's the difference between 53 and 57. You know, but those years.
Those are big.
Those are big years. No, so I grew up in the Valley. I grew up poor. I grew up, kind of a jock, and I didn't have any family going for me. I didn't have anything going for me. So when I was 18, it seemed logical to be a fireman because I played football. I was strong. I was like athletic, and I didn't have any regard for personal safety. I grew up with a bunch of jack-off buddies in the Valley jumping off roofs into swimming pools and stuff. Like, all the stuff we did.
And when women paint a picture of like a fantasy, it often involves a fireman. They always go to that.
No, they love it because it's like it's got the uniform and it's got the security and it's got the safety, but none of the baggage of cop. You know what I mean? It is also
It's just sheer heroism. You
right. It's all the upside and none of the baggage. I could beat up a black guy today, huh? The firemen never get that.
Did
It's
you
just
hose one too hard?
It's just hero. But I also thought it was interesting that strip clubs for women, the guys come out dressed as firemen, dressed as cops, dressed as surgeons, and then it all. But part of the fantasy is this guy's got a job. When you go as a man, when you go to a strip club, they come out just dressed like a whore. There's no outfit. You know what I mean? There's no job. Part of the fantasy for women is that he's got a gig, and he's naked. But so let's not digress. I was 18. I was living in my dad's garage in North Hollywood. I barely graduated high school. I was not going to college. The economy was bad. There was no job to be had. I was walking around putting in applications at supermarkets and liquor stores and stuff. I had no job. So I walked to the North Hollywood Firehouse, which is across from the North Hollywood Park. We used to like practice football at and stuff. Like, I know there's a fire station. I just walked there. And I just went in and I was just like, hey, is there an application or something? Like, because I knew the fireman gig was like 3 days on and 4 days off.
Yeah, it's
and
nice.
They lived together and they ate chili.
It's like a flight attendant. Like you get some time, real time off.
A flight attendant with chili. You get to eat chili. And I was down for all the stuff. And a pole. And I was down with all that stuff. So I was like, yeah, I could definitely do this. And so I said, well, what do I do? Put my name in or fill something out? They go, well, fill the thing out and they'll be contacting you. And I said, oh, okay, good. When can I expect a letter, a phone call, something like that? And the guy went, not for years. Like, don't even think about it. And I was like, why not? What? And he just said, look, it's an affirmative action, what they called it back then. It's
right.
Like women, black, Hispanic, something other than white.
What was the year?
This be like 82.
82. Okay, so that was rocking in the Reagan years?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, California's always kind of been at the vanguard of every movement and every bad idea. So I was like, all right. I just walked back and went back to the garage, and eventually I got onto a construction site just as a laborer, digging ditches for $7 an hour. And I started working, and then I realized pretty quickly, like, oh, I better buy a truck, and I better learn a skill and buy some tools and whatever. And years went by, and I was a carpenter at that point. And like I said, I had a truck, I had some tools. I worked as a carpenter. That was my profession. And then at some point, I went out to lunch with my dad, and he just like slid this envelope across the table. And he said, it's from the L.A. City Fire Department, whatever. And I was like, what
Their
is
numbers
this?
come up.
What is this? And he's like, yeah. I said, I don't know what this is. I open up. I was like, oh, well, they sent it to his house because I lived at his house when I put the application in because I was 18.
Not now. You're a carpenter.
Now
You're
I'm
dating.
big,
You got a truck,
I got a futon. I got my own futon and 3 roommates. I mean, are you kidding me? Come on, man. Tough skin jeans. I'm on top of the world at this point. But I look at this thing and I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I filled that out all those years back. So they gave me a date. They said, you have a date for your written test, 2 Saturdays from now at Hollywood High. And I was like, well, I'm a carpenter and I have my tools in my truck and everything. But I signed up for this thing years ago and I got a date. So I guess the least I should do is just go down to Hollywood High on a Saturday and I'll take the test.
You've waited long enough, but you didn't really wait.
And I don't even know what I'm doing at this point, but I said, look, I signed up. I'll go do it. So I went down, and when I was waiting in line on a Saturday, I was sort of befuddled by the fact that I signed up for something, and then years later, I get my thing, So at some point, I turn to a woman of color who's behind me, and I just go, when did you sign up? When did you sign up? And she goes, Wednesday. And I was like, what the? And then that's when I kind of, but by the way, it's all in response to people when they try to hit me with my white privilege. You know what I mean?
That's your white privilege right there.
You're talking to the wrong guy. But, the reality is I was poor and eager, and I would have made a good fireman, but just because I needed a job, and I wish that they would do it sort of on a economic standpoint.
Classism, right?
Right. I needed a job. I was poor. My family was poor.
And fit and young.
I was ready to go. Yes.
I'm throwing it in there.
Sure. Toss it in.
You're my guest. I like to look out for you.
Thank you.
But you never became a fireman.
No.
But you've seen what's going on here. I mean, look, there's been across-the-board repudiation for the management, the mismanagement, the leadership on the state level, the local level, on every level. Who's your greatest beef with? Is it the fire chief? Or is it Newsom? I love that old footage of you attacking Newsom.
Oh, yeah. I hate Newsom. I don't like Karen Bass either because they say things. So
she's a bureaucrat. This is just, L.A. does things over and over the same way.
She blamed income inequality for the homeless problem. And when I was talking to Gavin Newsom on my podcast, famously all those years back, I told him, look, the homeless problem is drugs and mental disabilities. It's crazy people and drug addicts and both, and that's who's on the street. And he said the real picture of homelessness was a mom who had 2 kids who worked full-time at minimum wage and got divorced and is now homeless. And I said, that doesn't exist.
That's a Lifetime movie.
Right. That's not what you see on the streets. I'll give you a perfect example. I said, these people are drug addicts. They're schizophrenic. They need to be taken care of and institutionalized, but they go, oh, the unhoused. I go, they're not unhoused, they're junkies. All right, here's a thought experiment. Where's my camera? Okay. I am homeless now.
You are.
I am, and so are half the people who lived in Malibu, and 3/4 of people lived in the Palisades. Overnight, thousands, tens of thousands of Los Angelinos became homeless. Did any of us sleep on the street that night? The answer is no.
But you're wealthy.
No, I have a network, though. I don't own.
Cheap, by the way, because you didn't go to a nice hotel, which you could have. You went to Dr. Drew's house.
I went to Dr. But here's my point. I became homeless overnight, and so did thousands of others. And I would argue Altadena, it was where my dad lived, very modest neighborhood. It was Altadena is a
second
modest
biggest
place.
fire from the Palisades fire.
Altadena is not the Palisades. It's not Malibu.
No, it's working class people.
It's working class. Believe me, my dad lived there.
Majority minority.
Yeah. All right. How many of those people slept on the street?
No.
The answer is 0. And the reason the answer is zero is not because they were homeless. It's because they had a network. They had friends.
Right.
They had family. They had coworkers. I had people reach out to me all over the place and go, you need a place to stay. I was homeless. So the point is I did not burn bridges. I did not steal their jewelry last time I was at their house. I didn't OD in their guest bedroom. So a bunch of people were made homeless in LA, yet no one was homeless. How does that work? Well, they have a network. That's what you need.
He said I didn't OD in their guest room.
No, not yet.
Well, look, I mean, Newsom, yeah, he spent $22 billion on homelessness in the last 3 years. It's gone up. And
Right.
in locally here, $1.3 billion for the homeless issue and $850 million for fire, right? So we have
Well, and also, he's going to spend $140 billion on a train from Bakersfield to Merced, California. I know everybody.
I know who you can put on there. The first trip.
Well, no, here's what I say. I tell everyone, I go, you're not from L.A., so you don't know where Bakersfield to Merced is. But by the way, people from L.A. don't know where Merced is.
Bakersfield, I know. Merced, I have no idea.
I have no idea. I have no idea why you would need to get from Bakersfield to Merced. I feel like you could if you owned a vehicle. Drive from Bakersfield. He's going to spend over $100 billion on that. Now, people go, what's wrong with that? And my answer is well, listen, it's not an infinite amount of money and time and infrastructure. So I would rather have updated aqueducts. I would rather have an updated infrastructure system, fire hydrants,
Reservoirs that have water.
Reservoirs that have water.
That'd be nice.
More
Hydrants that can get that water.
More firemen per citizen, better ratio to that. Like, yes, I would like that stuff instead of this stuff.
We live in a natural habitat for fire in California. Like,
Yes.
there's 2 major wildfires every decade. It's really a tinderbox, no question. But do you think that, it should be for this state, and especially Southern California on the coast, it should be like our defense budget, right? It should be the biggest thing we spend money on is deforestation, devegetation, cleaning out the brush, and all this.
Also, I'm sorry to cut you off. I agree, and there's a couple of things. I have 2 answers for you. One is New Orleans, and New Orleans is below sea level, so they're going to have issues during big major storms, But they built seawalls, and the seawalls work, but then they fall into disrepair. The Army Corps of Engineers doesn't update them, and then Katrina happens. But what I'm saying is
Totally.
they're below sea level, and we live in a fire pit. But we can mitigate. There are things we can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And we can put more fire stations up. We can add another 50.
Let's just look at it.
It took 55 minutes to respond when the first person called in and the first flickers were going in the Palisades fire. 55 minutes to get a bird up there and to drop some water. That's a long time.
Let's go micro. Okay, you live in a home. The home could go up in a fire, but you could have a steel roof. You could have stucco. You could have poured in place. You could have steel framing, metal stud. Get rid of the eaves and the fascia on the outside. Keep the shrubs. Okay, it doesn't mean your house can't burn down, but you can mitigate a lot of it. Sprinklers, whatever. So now you have to do that on a grander scale. We're just saying, look, let's mitigate.
Mitigate is all you can do.
Right. And they don't want to do it. But here's the other thing. Like you see Karen Bass give her speeches. You hear Gavin Newsom give his speeches. And then you hear Trump. Trump's like, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. These guys are like, everyone deserves a seat at the table. No one's illegal. No child should go to bed hungry. Just sort of pablum, nothing talk about race all the time. And like, if someone could produce a tape of Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom going, wildfire, big issue, needs to be addressed now. From 4 years ago.
Trump says there's needles on the floor. We got to get the needles off.
Right, he's going granular.
Adam Carolla is in. If you don't know, the good thing about, we have a radio feed going and a YouTube feed going, and the radio feed, the voice is so recognizable. It's Adam Carolla. Okay. I'm just going to say it anyway, but you get that. Like if you're in a grocery store, people say like, oh, I heard your voice across I knew you were here.
From doing Loveline and radio for so many years, I think there's an element of recognition. But
Yeah, I know when it's you. Listen, Adam, I so much I wanted to. Did you see any of the inauguration today?
No, I'm at the mercy of Dr. Drew and his television set, and I can't
He
figure out.
couldn't watch it?
He's out of town. I got the universal remote with 200,000 buttons on it. I can't figure out how to do anything. So I saw snippets and bits and pieces.
What do you think about what is your greatest hope for Trump? And do you have any? I know you are a Trump supporter, but do you have any problems with him? Do you have anything that worries you or troubles you about him?
Well, as I say to people a lot, and my dear friend Dennis Prager would say, people are a package. Like I say to people all the time, like you all know people that go, God, this guy's sharp and he works hard and he does whatever, but he always does this thing and I wish he'd stop, And I go, he's not going to, but he's a package.
Yeah.
And so you take 8 things you like. Employees are this way, relations are this way, families this way. Like my sister's XYZ, but I wish she wouldn't do this.
What do you wish he wouldn't do above all else?
He probably the same as you, late night tweeting, getting.
At least he's not drunk. We know he's not
no,
drunk.
but getting involved with sort of squabbles that are beneath him and will pull focus from him keeping his eye on the prize, big picture.
I don't think we're going to
stuff.
see like, so-and-so is a loser. They have no ratings. You can tell he's sitting on, watching television. It's late and he's attacking someone for their ratings.
Right.
I got a feeling he's not doing that this time around.
I get that feeling too.
And Rocket Man, I mean, do we think world leaders are going to get nicknames?
Yeah, I get the feeling that this version of Trump 2.0 is going to be a little less pro wrestling and a little more pro boxer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
precision hits.
Just a little more discipline with some trash talk.
Yeah,
but still, it's like a real sport.
He's the king of the concrete jungle. He rides around in that limo in New York, and he's the guys on the construction sites. They're calling out Donald's name. Everybody feels like they.
I will say this about Trump, and look. So for me, I'm just pragmatic, nuts and bolts. Let's fix it. Let's get it worked out. I will say this about Donald Trump Jr. came on my podcast a few years back. And he'd written a book. And so I read the book before interviewing him. And he was talking about growing up on a construction site. And I was like, all right, I sort of did that too. I didn't grow up, but I spent a lot of time on a construction site. And he was painting himself as sort of Joe Six-Pack, regular dude, all in vogue now, which I'm fine. And he said, I spent so much time on a construction site, I can tell the difference between a Sawzall and a high-point saw and a circular saw and a jigsaw or belt sander, whatever. And so he was coming in, and I thought, I can tell the difference between all those tools too, because they all sound like what they are. You don't have to be looking at. A guy could fire up a belt sander behind you.
I know what that
is.
I can see it.
Random orbital sander, jigsaw, they all have the kind of thing. So he made this boast in his book, Junior. So when he came in, I said, I'm going to put you on the spot. You said in your book, you can tell
Did
the
you
sound
bring
of.
the actual tools?
I have all the tools, and they're in my shop, and my studio's in my shop.
What
so
is
I told
this?
my guys, no, I didn't hold it up. I held my guys behind the desk, like if your guys did. I said, put the tool down there, put the mic, do not show it, do not hold it up, just fire it up. He's got the headphones on. You say you can tell the tool by the sound of the
that's
tool.
a great challenge.
Do it. He did it.
And he could tell you what that was?
He could tell me what the tool was.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the time I was interviewing Sly Stallone on the set of Rocky. It was the comeback Rocky, the first of the comeback Rocky. So he's an older Sly. He plays he's getting back in the ring. But anyway, he had come out with Sly Ice, his Glacier water. And his publicist had said, listen, will you do me a favor? Will you please talk to Sly about his Glacier ice water? He's really excited about it. I said, sure, I'll bring it up. And this is the day before, so I call the crew. They were meeting in Philadelphia. The crew's in New York. And I said to the producer, get me a bottle of Trump ice. And that was his water at the time that Donald was hawking. So we get there, and I do, Sly's, he's very sure that everybody, he can, Glacier water is unlike any other.
Sure.
It's double the hydrating. It's this, it's that, all the next things. So I have 2 glasses. We pour a little of each in there, and we do the Pepsi challenge, but with the water. And I said, okay, I have 2 Sly. I hear your Glacier water is amazing. We have 2 waters here. And the other one is also a celebrity water. I just want you to know that ahead of time. Go ahead. And can you tell? He goes, I'll be able to tell. So I hand him one. He takes a sip and he goes, this is definitely mine. It's very, very good. And he puts it down and he grabs the other one and he goes, this tastes like old gym socks. This is the
I do
worst
remember
thing.
this.
You remember?
Yeah.
He said, this is terrible. And he spat it out. I said, well, I got good news and bad news. When he goes, okay. I said, the good news is you're right. That was your water. The bad news is you just said that Donald Trump's water. Oh, my God. He freaked out. Billy, you cannot put this on.
Wow.
He's relentless. He's going to kill me. And now he's the ambassador to Hollywood. So everything worked out.
That happened to me with the R. Kelly water. But it was different, but it's same basic premise. Yeah, we keep going.
Gym socks or, no, we don't want to.
Just different. Just different. That's all.
Adam Carolla is in studio here. He watched, he's familiar with it all. He's out of his house. He had to evacuate up in his house in Malibu, like so many people. Many people obviously lost their homes. Adam's still out for now, so didn't get to go in and see the inauguration, but he knows the man, he knows the beast, he knows the package.
Yeah.
As we said. I like that. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have.
The fact's alive.
Yeah. Shout out to Mindy Cohn. I have some questions for you. Have you ever spent time with Donald, the big guy?
Yeah.
Yeah? Where were you? Does he call you at night? He's called me before in bed.
No, he's never called me at night. I did Celebrity Apprentice for a season.
You sure did.
I did, yeah. And then I also...
You know what your problem was? You did not pay enough respect to Mario Andretti and he was on your team and he had car knowledge and you were putting together a Buick campaign and Trump thought you should have leaned on Mario and he fired you.
I got jobbed. Completely jobbed. I got completely... Well, what it was is Mario had sponsorship, as you do when you race, and his sponsorship was like Toyota built his Indy engines or something like that. So when they said we're doing a car challenge, everyone went, "Oh, Mario, that's you, right?" And he went, "Not me, because I'm affiliated with another manufacturer, not Pontiac."
Ooh.
So, and it wasn't Mario, it was Michael Andretti. But the whole point is
oh yeah, it can't be Mario.
For reasons unknown to the audience, Michael Andretti of the Andrettis was not going to head up the car challenge because he did not want to.
Oh, so that's a terrible position.
So they were like, well, who knows the second most about cars? And then that's this guy. So I said, well, then I'll do it. And then I was...
Fateful decision.
I was punished the whole time. Like, what are you doing? Why didn't you have... And I'm like, well, it's not my decision. He didn't want to do it, so I stepped in. So why is that on me is what I'm saying. But yeah, I got jobbed a little bit, but it was fine. It was an experience. I've done other shows with Trump, that kind of stuff.
And you did Dancing with the Stars with Julianne Hough. You trampled all over her feet. Remember that?
Yes, and she trampled all over my heart.
Who was the worst dancer, you or Tucker Carlson? He was on there, another big podcast success. Tucker was there. He was... It's a lot of great Hall of Fame when
Jeff
it comes
Ross was a horrible... Yeah, there are many horrible dancers.
For YouTube viewers, we are
history.
Watching a little clip right now. Do you look debonair and dashing? And
yes. No.
She's so beautiful.
I know. Yeah. No,
Wow.
I'm not. I wasn't the worst.
No,
There
you were
worse.
good. You actually, now that I'm seeing it with fresh eyes.
Yes,
I got
that's
enough
right.
distance between then and now. Look at, oh my God, he's doing a little, that's called a
karaoke.
A karaoke.
Yeah, it's an old football move.
Yeah, it's an old football move.
I don't know
love it.
why they called it karaoke.
I don't know, but that was your foray on the dance floor. You were terrific. Now, I have a few questions, Adam Carolla.
Mm-hmm.
Your relationship, you and Jimmy Kimmel.
Mm-hmm.
A beautiful friendship. You and Dr. Drew, another great friendship.
Yeah,
Are you and Jimmy? I picture this cliche stereotype thing where like families falling apart at the Thanksgiving table because they can't agree on politics. You guys couldn't be further apart on politics. Has it affected the relationship?
No, he was one of the first guys to reach
But
out.
he won't invite you over when Jennifer Aniston is there for dinner. He does not invite you too. Be truthful.
I was there with Jennifer Aniston for dinner, and I know I was because my daughter was with me at the time, it's a couple of years ago, and she wanted to take a picture with Jennifer Aniston, and Jennifer Aniston was gracious. She was like, I'll take a picture of you. Don't put it on the internet, but we'll do a picture, and she did. And I have that picture. He reached out to me the second he heard the fires and evacuation. Wanted to know if I wanted to stay with him. And I was at his house a couple of weeks before that for his birthday, and then after that for Christmas. We were at.
So a very hasn't affected
he sent
at
me
all.
a text. He sent me a text yesterday of his daughter opening a gift that I bought her for Christmas.
What does he think about your support of Trump? Do you guys have like a? Do you argue politics, or is there a no politics kind of zone for the?
We don't talk about it, but I don't. Couple of things. I'm not. Well, it's not like I'm not a Trump supporter. I do not support Gavin Newsom. I do not support Karen Bass. I do not support the current Democratic Party in the state that it's in and doing what they've done. I grew up in California. I grew up with a progressive family. I was always a Democrat. Bill Clinton, great. That kind of Democrat, fine. They just went nuts. And so I got off at the last stop before they started going insane. So there's
the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. You said this is enough. Enough's enough. I'm out of here. But I didn't know that you were a Democrat. Your family is.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
I grew up in L.A. And so that's kind of the culture, and the stuff was sort of pragmatic and sensical back then. And you listen to speeches that Bill Clinton made or Hillary Clinton made or Joe Biden made. I mean, you go back and read a transcript of them making a speech. And by the way, not when they were in college in 19, they were 57 years old. Joe Biden was like 57. He's like, crime's an issue. We need to be tough on crime or the border, like whatever. Around. It's like these guys were 60 years old when they made these speeches.
You could be a wild liberal when you're like 70, and Kimmel could be like conservative. Everyone comes around, it seems.
Yeah. So we get along great. Most of the people I interact with in L.A.,
he emotionally
in Hollywood,
hates Donald, though. Like, he hates the Donald.
Yeah, because he and many have a thing where they get invested in it. And my thing is like, okay, there's many reasons to hate Biden as well. I mean, for good or for bad, people that are powerful, I've noticed, like successful, powerful people, do not have a middle gray area, lukewarm setting. It's this guy's the best and this guy's the worst.
Right.
And that's part of why they're successful. They go through life going, I love this guy and I hate this guy. And I'm always like somewhere in the middle, kind of going, hey, he's okay, but it's hard for me to defend that. But he did this. He treats me okay. There's a super unsexy, boring gray middle that I spend a lot of time in and other people don't. And I also know it's a component of successful people to go, love this, hate, you know what I mean? And you could go, look, I could give you 1,000 reasons why you could hate Joe Biden and other reasons why you could hate and love Trump and then swap it again. I'm just in the boring middle, which I've always had this analogy, Billy, which is it's better to be either on the beach, safe on the sand, or out beyond the breakers where it's calm. The middle is just where you get pummeled. That's where the waves break, and you try to live in that middle and you just get pummeled.
I like the middle. I like gray. I must not be successful. I like nuance.
It's not No, but you and I and others or whatever, you're better off just going, I'm going full hardcore MAGA, or I'm going over to MSNBC. I'm going to get my own TV show. The middle is...
I like the package. This is what I like about Trump. This is what I don't
I
like
agree.
about Trump. I like the package. What you said
agree.
about the package.
It's the package.
By the way, this crazy culture of like not being able to, retro punishing and all that. I mean, what you guys did on the Man Show as young guys was fantastic. You were young guys doing a great show, having fun. Kimmel is allowed to grow up, in my world, and become what he is today, which is not the Man Show. He's not doing that. He's doing something else. He's allowed to evolve. There shouldn't be any sort of retro, well, you did that when you were 28 years old. And
I know
therefore...
people try to do that. Like, you dressed as Oprah. That's blackface. It's like, you were doing Oprah. I dressed as Mr. T when I was 19 for Halloween. That's not blackface.
Megyn Kelly asked about blackface and got fired by NBC.
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
She just asked about it.
First off, it's insane that Billy Crystal can't play Sammy Davis Jr. He's playing Sammy Davis Jr. He's not making fun of minstrel shows. You know what I mean? It's nuts when we do all this. But all I'm saying is yes, you can evolve. I may have regressed. I do not know. Jimmy and I get along great. And I don't think politics needs to be at the forefront of any relationship, family, friends, coworkers, what have you. I watch football on Sundays with 8 guys who disagree with me politically, and we have a big laugh about everything else.
All my friends disagree with me politically. The guys on the other side of that glass disagree with me politically. Look at them.
Hollywood types. A lot of Jews.
Although I agree
Jewish
with
guys
both
that
sides.
would
Here's what I just don't understand: people who don't understand how other people got to the way they think. I'm fine with that. I understand how you got there, and I might not agree, but who knows?
Yeah, I think there was a time, and people always say, like, we didn't even know what Johnny Carson's politics were.
Right.
Like, there was a time when nobody really cared, and I'm sort of living in that time. And I know so many good people who I disagree with politically, but I also know like a lot of good religious people. And I'm not religious. I'm basically an atheist, and I have friends that are very religious, and I like them, and we get along. I don't know why there needs to be a chasm there. I don't know why we need to impose that on ourselves.
You know what there needs to be? There needs to be a reunion, and I'm going to say it right now. You and Jimmy get together for one special. You ready? We're calling it the Gentleman Show, the Gentleman Show, and you're just older guys, and what you come up with, who knows? But until then, it's the Adam Carolla Show.
Well, I know he's hurting for cash.
Yeah, he's not really,
so I could
really
probably
rich.
coax him
I've seen your podcast
back.
numbers, my friend. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, we landed on our feet.
Give me a plug, will you, when you get over there? Come on,
Yes.
I'm a hurting young, I'm new.
Oh, why don't you come on my podcast?
I'd love to.
That'd be awesome.
Be a great pleasure. All right, when we come back, Adam, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more about what we saw. There was a man at the, Adam, you're going to love this. There's a man at the inauguration who stole the day. The Reverend Lorenzo Sewell. If you saw him, you know. He was unbelievable. We'll play a little of that. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf. We're back in just 60 seconds on TuneIn. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, sponsored by LA Golf. Take your swing to the next level with LA Golf's cutting-edge technology. Visit lagolf.com and upgrade your game. And for all you sports fanatics, go big with TuneIn Premium and unlock the biggest college football and basketball games, every NHL game with no blackouts, and commercial-free ESPN radio. Stay in the game all year long with TuneIn Premium. Plus, premium users can enjoy over 300 commercial-free music stations, from today's hits to smooth jazz, classic rock, country roads, and everything in between. Hear all your favorite stations and more, all in one place, and keep music flowing. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news, TuneIn has got you covered. Listen to your favorite news stations like CNN, Fox News Radio, MSNBC, and more, all with fewer ads so you can get back to what's important. Premium listeners can listen to over 100,000 global stations and podcasts on TuneIn so you can stay connected with breaking news, sports talk, and top music anytime, anywhere. Unlock all of it by visiting TuneIn.com/premium and sign up today.
I don't get what your part was in that whole thing. I
See,
was
we're
always
still going.
confused.
I'm
I was
here
like,
with Adam
you didn't
Carolla.
do anything.
We are back. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf. Take your golf swing to the next level with LA Golf's cutting-edge technology. You a golfer, Adam?
No.
Okay. This is...
I have done it. I enjoy it, but it's been a while.
Okay. Well, this driver that they have, I'm telling you, it almost hits it straight for you. And everybody, that's the problem. If you can't get off the tee, you can't play. The cutting-edge technology is yours. Visit lagolf.com. They're going to check your swing speed, all that stuff. You'll be hitting them straight. You can always listen to us exclusively on TuneIn. Ask your Alexa or Google Hot Mics with Billy Bush. And if you missed a show, you can go to tunein.com, Hot Mics, or catch up on previous episodes on YouTube. So listen, let's leave with one of the great stars of today. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. One of the network anchors made a comment that there weren't a lot of people of color in the audience. But Trump talked about Martin Luther King, and then, I swear to God, the second coming of Martin Luther King came out and delivered the benediction. Reverend Lorenzo Sewell, senior pastor at the 180 Church in Detroit, and he delivered this benediction. Check it out. Oh.
So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous hilltops of California. But God, we're asking you not only that. Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Woo! Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and every molehill in Mississippi, from every state, every city, every village, and every hamlet. And when we let freedom ring, we will be able to speed up that day where all of your children, black men and white men, Protestant and Catholic, Jew and Gentile, will be able to sing in the meaning of that old Negro spiritual, free at last. Free at last. Thank you, God Almighty. We are free at last. If you believe with the Spirit of the Lord.
Whoa. That was good. I feel sorry for the person staying in the room next to his at the hotel while he was running lines at 4 a.m. Nervous, up all night, running lines.
You're never going to forget that guy.
No, that guy was great.
Oh, man. Thank you, Adam Carolla, for being here today. Congratulations, 47. That's it for Hot Mics with Billy Bush today, and we'll see you Wednesday. Bye.
Thanks, Billy.